Welcome to the BodPod, the podcast where everybody is welcome. I'm your host, Rachel K. Grimm, and each week we welcome old and new friends to talk all things body image, self-love, and confidence. This is the BodPod.
Hey, BodPod squad. I'm Rachel K. Grimm, the confidence coach behind Ditch the Click and your BodPod host. And today we're celebrating International Women's Day in the best way. We have Gabrielle Richards, who is the director of all confidence boosting brands at Shapermint, TrueKind, and the BodCon. Gabrielle, I'm so excited. There's no better way to celebrate International Women's Day than right here, right now with you.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here with you. You've been killing it on these BodPod episodes, and I was like, I can't wait for my turn to chat with Rachel and discuss everything body confidence related. And so, yes, it is very suiting that we discuss International Women's Day.
Gabrielle, there's no better place to start than asking, what the heck is International Women's Day? Why do we care? Why are we celebrating? Tell us all the things.
Absolutely. So International Women's Day is a global holiday celebrated annually on March 8th as a focal point in the women's rights movement, bringing attention to issues such as gender equality, reproductive rights, and violence and abuse against women. I hope I answered that properly for you.
Yeah, girl, all of the important things pretty much. And I think that this is such an exciting space to celebrate it. And I know when we were talking about International Women's Day, we were saying how International Women's Day as a resource is celebrating body equity. And, you know, we talk about body confidence on the pod all the time. We've been talking about body neutrality. So I'm going to ask the question in the same way. What the heck is body equity?
Sure.
We need that definition.
Right. So this year, the overarching theme for International Women's Day is equity. And at Shapermint and at the BodCon, we want to put a more emphasis on body equity in itself because, like you just mentioned, a lot of people don't even know what equity in itself means. So I had to get some definition so we can help our viewers and audience fully understand it. So this is pulled directly from internationalwomensday.com. So equality means each individual or group of people is given the same resources or opportunities. So what makes it different from equity? Equity recognizes that each person has different circumstances and allocates the exact resources and opportunities needed to reach an equal outcome. So what we're saying with body equity is that the pathway to confidence we know is not linear for a lot of people. There's different, roads, curves, bumps to feeling fully confident, right? So what we're recognizing is that every single person has different resources and a pathway of getting them there to feeling confident, even down to our DNA. We all come from different upbringings, right? Our families are different. And so with us knowing that, we need to come together and providing tools and resources that will allow people to feel more confident and allow them to get to being confident, which we know every single day it's a different struggle.
I love that you said that it's such a journey because we talk about that on here all the time. You already know that, the ups and downs of confidence. And I love that body equity is kind of diving deeper into that journey to body confidence, right? Am I getting that right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What I wonder then is, what is the difference between body equity and body confidence? Like, I think I got it.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So when we say body equity, what we're acknowledging is that, let's take you and I as an example, right? You and I, we come from different backgrounds. We live in different cities. We're probably different ages. And all of those factors and variables will impact us on a daily basis, right? And so what we're recognizing when we say equity is that even if you and I were to be given the same handbook of body confidence, I would interpret it differently because of the different surroundings that I have or the different DNA makeup, right? If I said, okay, Rachel, I want by March 30th to feel more confident and I'm going to have this book, this tool to help me, what I'm interpreting in this book is going to be very different than what you're interpreting, right? And then the different stress factors that we each have is very different. Our diets are different, our culture is different, our DNA is different, but what we're hoping is that the end goal is confidence. And body confidence in itself is just highlighting and understanding that we want to feel, and what I'm going to highlight the word feel, right? Because confidence is not a physical thing, it's how we feel on the inside. We all have the right to feel confident, but it takes a different resources to get us there.
Exactly. Like, isn't that it? That my journey to confidence and yours do not look the same, as everyone listening's does not look the same either. And we all have different resources available to us, or the circumstances that are impacting us on that journey to confidence. So can we talk about some of maybe the circumstances that have been on your journey to body equity, body confidence? I had the awesome opportunity to get to talk to you on the panel at Shapermint's National Shapewear Day that happened over the summer. That was such an awesome, empowering event. And so I know a bit of your journey, but I think it would be really neat to dive into those pieces of your journey that maybe, touch on that body equity and body confidence.
Yeah, I love that. I would love to start off and say that, my pathway to body confidence was not a straight, easy breezy thing. I know I come off very confident, but it definitely has taken me a lot of work to get here. So to peel back the layers, I was born and raised in Jamaica, Queens. My family's Caribbean. My dad, woo woo. My dad is Jamaican, my mom is Black American, and a lot of women in my family are curvy. And so I grew up struggling with accepting and appreciating my curves because diet culture was so prevalent. And I just remember, like, especially in a Caribbean household, when you are in front of your family, the first thing they mention is your weight. Like, either you've gained weight, you've lost weight, or you need to gain weight, or you need to lose weight. So I was always battling with that. But in the same sense, I always had a love for fashion and beauty, and I knew that I wanted to work within that space. When I was in college, and I was a big nerd, by the way, so I received a lot of scholarships and all of that. So I went to boarding school for high school, and that was my first time where I really thought to myself that I stood out, that I looked different than my peers, that I was bigger, I was blacker, I was just different. And I, in high school, was like, I'm going to celebrate my difference because I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that's making this a thing. And once I changed that shift in my thinking, it made me feel better. And I started to do things that I would have normally never done. Like I played lacrosse, which was very unusual, right? I was literally the only woman of color on this lacrosse team. And it's a very affluent sport in itself. I did not come from a lot of money by any way. So, I, excelled in sports and I excelled in my education. And, I decided that I wanted to get a master's degree in fashion design because I was picturing myself, definitely being amongst the Anna Wintours and, the Tommy Hilfigers out there. And so I went to my interview for design school. And I remember the professor at the time, you had to do an interview to get in because their program was for people who didn't major or have experience within fashion. And I was coming from an economics degree, a minor in Spanish. I was on a trajectory to becoming a lawyer. Realized then that wasn't my thing. I loved the movie Legally Blonde. And I was like, okay, I think I liked the movie not because she was a lawyer, but because she was wearing all pink.
Yes, her outfits, iconic.
Right. And so I was like, I think I need to switch gears here. But so when I was doing the interview, I remember she asked me, why? Why do I want to work in fashion? And I said, well, growing up, I didn't see women who looked like me on the covers of magazines. When I went into stores, I didn't see any models in there who looked like me. I know my mom and my aunts, they struggled for years trying to find clothing that fit their curves, that fit their size, that celebrated them. So I want to make that change. I want to make an impact. And, I was accepted into the program, spent my 3 years there. It was like Project Runway every single day. And when I graduated, it was 2010. And I said, okay, I'm moving back to New York. I'm going to take over. And Rachel, I could not find a job within fashion. I was going to a lot of interviews, and as soon as I walked in, I just felt this air of like, I don't belong. And I don't know if it was me then in my brain saying I don't belong, or if that's the sentiment that I was getting from them. But, I couldn't get a job. I mean, it was during the recession, and I remember feeling super low, not confident, second guessing my decisions, saying, oh my gosh, my parents were right. I should not have gone down this fashion lane. But I still continue to dress really crazy, eclectic. Like back then, Bessie Johnson was like my muse. And so could you just imagine my outfits?
Yes, we love Betsy.
Patterns, bright colors. I always had big hair. So I ended up landing an internship at a beauty brand. And my boss at the time, she became my mentor. She was a woman of color. She was one of the owners of this company. And I loved how they marketed the product. And I was like, okay, maybe I can have a career in marketing and PR. And so I landed in that industry, and I was able to regain my confidence because I was creating messaging for women to feel more confident within the skin that they were in by way of hair extensions, believe it or not. And I gained a strong sense of self and decided that I needed to start to do more work within the confidence space, and created my own blog. It was called Round the Way Girl, and I started posting a lot on social. Mind you, this is going to sound crazy, but when I started my career, there was no Instagram. There was we had Twitter and Facebook, but it was not what it is today, right? So it was me just, having this whole rediscovery and saying, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to make my impact. So I spent around 9 years in the beauty industry, and then transitioned into working at Shapermint. And I feel like my stars aligned at Shapermint, where I was able to help create a stronger platform on making women feel more confident within their skin by way of comfortable everyday essentials. And also working with phenomenal team members internationally, where we all strive for that same mission. So that's my story. I know it was pretty long, but that's how I landed here.
You know what's wild, Gabrielle, is I honestly didn't realize how parallel our journeys are. And I want to touch on this in terms of the equity as well, because I don't know if you know this about me, but I originally was focused in PR and marketing. And my whole reason of wanting to do it was I thought, you know what, I'm going to be the person who makes a difference in the fashion industry. I'm going to be the girl who goes in and represents more women. I'm going to be the one who tells the stories that we're hearing in like PR and marketing spaces, in the ads, that is making a difference. And I think from what you said, you and I both know that it's so easy to have that idea, but so much more difficult to actually execute that and make such a big difference in a space that sometimes like fosters a sense of toxicity depending on where you are, right? I too ended up in the beauty industry. People always say, I don't know if you've heard this, the beauty industry is like the kind sister to the fashion industry.
I believe it, because it was so kind to me. I believe that.
Like it's a bit softer, and that is what I found. But anyway, obviously we both have found ourselves in spaces like this, but I think it's so interesting that we both had this same idea of, I want to make an impact. I want to represent someone who I feel like wasn't represented before, or for you saying like, I want to represent a curvy woman, a Black woman, a woman that I haven't seen her body. Like that's who I want to be. And, I think we both had very different pathways of getting there, of doing that thing. Right. And that journey, though it is a bit parallel, looked very different, especially considering our circumstances and things like that. But how interesting that it led us the same place. So if I'm understanding exactly the whole definition of equity, I feel like that journey somehow represents it too.
Yeah, I agree, Rachel. And, I've been a fan of yours for quite some time. And, the confidence that you allude, the confidence you allude on your, on the internet, right, is just so striking. But when I got to peel back some of your story and just hear all of the different things that you've experienced, yeah, I would say, you are embracing body equity, and, you had to put our pathways next to each other. The roads were like this, but, have matched. And I think, it's our jobs and the folks listening to this to understand that everybody has a different circumstance. And so we have to be more kind and more gentle to how we approach one another. Most recently, and I don't want to name the article, but I was reading something where this woman, she was posted on the cover of the magazine, and she was curvy, or is curvy, and she was wearing a swimsuit, and her, I thought she looked fabulous. You read the comments, there's a lot of people saying, oh, she needs to lose weight, this is unhealthy, you guys are promoting a very unhealthy lifestyle. And my husband, and I have to commend him, he actually chimed in and was like, because somebody was like, oh, she's got to get diabetes. And he was like, actually, diabetes has nothing to do with weight, like you could be very thin and be diabetic, or you could be plus size and be diabetic. Like your internal makeup doesn't, how you look on the outside doesn't reflect how you feel on the inside. And that goes with confidence too. Like we may see people who we think are traditionally deemed as like beautiful or whatever, and think that they're confident, they have it all together. And that might not be the case. So how we like speak to one another and comment on size and things like that, I think we need to be very, very, very careful, because we don't know that person's brain space right now.
We recorded an episode with Virgie Tovar, who I think is so empowering, an amazing fat activist, just like speaks such truth. And in our conversation, we talked a lot about that, about how, there is such an assumption of people based on how they look, an assumption of health or not, of happiness or not. And we actually, even in the episode we recorded with Bella Gerard, we talked about that too, how there is, when someone looks at that magazine or that article and they see that person, for some reason we're made to think that a certain body size is it equates with unhappiness, but that's actually not true. Like that's a total lie. That's so unfair of us to speak on what that person feels simply based on the way that they look. I just found those conversations so striking and so aligning with what you just said too.
Yeah, absolutely. So also too, I do want to highlight from Shapermint and from the BodCon side, right? We're both trying to promote or send that message of radical self-acceptance. And, sometimes I feel like right now with the whole body positivity movement, now it's being more of a body confidence movement, is like we're still glorifying certain attributes to be deemed as beautiful, right? But when it comes to radical self-acceptance, it now turns it back onto the person in itself and saying, how do you feel about yourself? And do you accept yourself how you are today, right? I found a stat where it says right now, nearly 1 in 2 adult women report feeling more concerned the way they look during the pandemic lockdown. So we all just experienced something that none of us could have said was going to be a thing, right? We lived through a pandemic. Some can argue it's been going on for 3 years, 2.5 years. Don't know if it's still, going on or not. But that pandemic definitely shifted the way we feel about ourselves. Because I don't know about you, Rachel, but as soon as I heard about the pandemic, I bought all of the snacks, all of the food, but I ate all of the snacks and all of the food literally within a week. So I am a reflection.
Yeah, I lived on creme brulee during the I got, you know how we were all buying like really weird things during the pandemic on Amazon. I bought like a little, I love like desserts, and so I bought a little creme brulee making kit with the little torch fire thing. I lived on that. So I feel you on the snacks.
Yes.
Like I totally get that. My body now is not the same as it was then, but radical self-acceptance says that that's okay.
It says it's okay. And this is where, and I don't want to do like a shameless plug, but you know, I got to. This is this is where Shapermint came in. You know, during the pandemic, we saw that we were able to really grow our community because, or we offer very comfortable shaping essentials. So yes, the core of our business is shapewear, but the fabrication of our items is very stretchy so that it's moving and hugging your body. So for me, during the pandemic, while I was working and, you know, spending a lot of hours sitting, I was able to wear like a comfortable tanks and leggings and all that and still feel a little supported, still feel a little cute, right? Walking around the house, not in just my sweats. And so I think that aids in some of the resources that's available to make people feel more confident about themselves, whether it's that your favorite lipstick or that favorite pant you have or that favorite person that you speak to that just boosts your, you know, your self-esteem, or you looking in your mirror and seeing that posted and reminding yourself, yes, I am beautiful, you know, and this hair and makeup has nothing to do with it. It's how I'm feeling on the inside, you know?
I think about that a lot of how, you know, yeah, I feel so glam when I get ready for this podcast, you know, hair, makeup done, cute outfit. I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling my best, but I also can be feeling my best in my sweatpants or like you said, in my leggings and my jeans. Like the confidence really is what's in here and how I choose to like put that out, as opposed to, yeah, you could show up visually being the most confident person, but not actually feeling that confidence, which leads me to want to ask you, and you've probably thought about this a lot on your journey, the concept of fake it till you make it. Like, I think a lot of people, I don't know about you, if you know, when you think back to like past Gabrielle, she was like walking into those interviews, into those spaces, where she felt like she didn't really fit and that she wasn't welcome. Sometimes, you know, you were feeling that inside, but you almost have to put on a front to be like, oh no, I'm meant to be here. And I don't know about you, I've definitely done that on my confidence journey in the past, because I've been like, okay, I'm not feeling so confident today, but maybe if I just try a little bit, like maybe I'll trick myself into being more confident.
Girl, I live that, right? And you know, the word fake makes it sound so harsh, but I think it definitely ties into manifestation, right? So if you think it, if you believe it, you are it, right? So back to my boarding school days, you know, when I walked onto campus, I was like, I don't fit in here. I'm not wearing the stuff that they're wearing. You know, I had like my box braids then, and I was just like, oh man, I need to do a like revamp. And I think that's where my like skill set of like PR marketing started to come from. I did a complete rebrand, right? I went back home during the holidays. I said, Mom, you know, we're going to go to these stores, you know, which thankfully I did have resources to do that, right? But I got all these things because I was faking it. I felt like I needed to fit in with the other students because I didn't think like my intellect or my humor was going to get me to the next level. I was like, I need to look a certain way. And at the end of the day, nobody remembers if I was wearing Birkenstocks, you know, but they remember how I made them feel in that moment. I ran into a classmate a few years ago in the airport, and we gave each other the biggest hug because we were remembering those moments we spent together, not what I appeared to be, right? So I think, you know, I don't want to have people think like faking it till you make it is a bad thing per se, because sometimes you really gotta, you know, trick your mind into having yourself believe you are certain things, and quite frankly, you become it. Like I said, like I was telling everybody, I was like, I don't think we could cuss on the podcast, but I was like, I'm the ish, right? I'm like, this is me. And people believe it. I mean, by the time I graduated, people thought my parents were lawyers and doctors. And I'm like, I never said that. But it was, it was the perception or the persona that I created that people thought.
That's so true. Speaking of stats and things, I read a stat that said that 70% of women express like a desire to be thinner. And that stat really like cut to my core, because it was like, one, I've been there before.
Yeah.
And two, like I just see how like upsetting and difficult that can be, because you do just want to fit in, right? As you said, like you do just want to either fit into a size pant, or you want to fit into a certain body type or a certain group of people. But ultimately, like that body, what you put on that body, like those are not the things that are actually going to bring you the satisfaction. It's as you said, like what's in here, and really what's in here. For those who aren't watching us on YouTube, I'm pointing to my head, like what's in here and what's in my heart, right? Like really what I believe about me. And I agree with you so much in that, like those, even now, even being, literally a confidence coach, I talk about confidence all the time. Like there are days that I am not confident, that I look in the mirror, I don't necessarily love how I look, like totally honest, right? But like that's a journey. Confidence is that, like there are going to be those days, but I am more empowered now to not like fall into those days, but think like, oh, make it till I make it, of being like, no, we know, as you said, that I'm the ish or I'm the bad bee. Like I know what I am now. Some days I just have to trick myself and be like, you're not feeling it today, but you are. And I think even that trickery is a bit of a journey too.
No, and it's a gentle reminder to yourself to get those negative thoughts out of your head. Like, I'm guilty of it, right? I find myself looking at my pictures in my phone of like 5 years ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was so beautiful, or my body looked like it was in shape. But I can tell you, 5 years ago, the feeling I had, I didn't like myself. I didn't like the way I looked. I was working out so much, reducing what I was eating, and I wasn't happy. And so I said to myself, oh no, I'm going to make a commitment that the way my body is coming out, is showing, I'm going to live in that moment. And when I was doing my body positivity coaching, right, I received a certificate in that. They talked about something called like intentional eating. And it's like, when you're eating something, enjoy that morsel, like enjoy it, enjoy that moment of it. And don't say, oh my gosh, it's going to go straight to my thighs. I mean, we're all guilty of saying that, right? But these thighs got you through the last 3 years, right?
I just had this conversation with one of my best friends. She's a new mom, and she is obviously dealing with changes in her body, right? And she's someone who grew up very fit, always playing sports. So is very used to a very specific body type for herself. And obviously now her body doesn't look that way. And we were chatting on the phone the other day. We don't live near each other, so we're just like chatting. And we were talking about our bodies, and just some things that we've seen in the media in regards to bodies and the way that bodies should look, and the concept of women bouncing back, particularly women who've had children. I can't speak to that because I'm not a mother, but I know like from my friends and family, like that is such a pressure on women who have had children to bounce back. But I think too, to what you said, we often compare ourselves to our past selves, especially if we, like you said earlier, think about the pandemic. Like that's a very different version of me. That's a very different version of Gabrielle than this version right here. But we compare ourselves, and we should bounce back. But my friend said, she goes, I recognize that this body that I'm in right now brought me my child, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. And she was like, so I want to celebrate this body. I don't want to hate this body. And I thought that was just like so empowering. Again, like not being a mother, but looking at like past pictures of myself. I think, Gabrielle, when you said that, that's so relatable. Like so many of us do that. Why does our iPhone or our phones in general like choose to pop up memories?
I know.
And because like you said,
was 5 years ago.
you might love how you looked in that photo, but you know, behind that photo was actually someone who was miserable, hating herself. And like, as you said, not eating or not taking care of herself. Like, was she really happy? But right now, yeah, her body might be a little thicker, but like, she's actually happy. Like, I would much rather be thick and happy than thin and unhappy, you know? And I just love that my friend said that. And I thought that really went along with what you said.
Yeah, absolutely. And also too, one thing that we do try to highlight is that, you know, body confidence is not a fat issue, right? It's not just, you know, dedicated to women who are plus size or men who are plus size. Like, it's for all, right? Thin people, larger people. And yes, I use the word fat, you know, as a fat person, we have reclaimed that word. We're taking the negativity out of fat.
Yes. We talked about that with Virgie. I said to her, I was like, you know, this word is a word that we've been socialized to see as so negative. And it's almost like, again, we're not cussing on this podcast, but being a bad bee. Like we've reclaimed that word a bit. I think Beyonce's helped us reclaim that word a bit as women.
Absolutely.
Like, so that to be ours. We're like the reclaiming of the word fat. Like those are powerful things that you've taken back for you.
Yeah, because it's literally just an attribute to describe someone. But because society has said to be fat is not good, therefore it has a bad feeling to it, right? Even the word plus size. I remember in college, you know, a group of girls, and again, that was like my mean girl era college, I'll admit to it, right? They were like, oh, we want you to, you know, to be a part of the plus size fashion show. And I was like, plus size? Me? Absolutely not. I'm not plus size. And I remember going to my friends. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not plus size. Like I fit into a size 8. And they were like, girl, do the fashion show and just come out and look good, you know, like strut your stuff. And I remember I found the shortest shorts I could wear and I did that, you know, the fashion segment, and I felt good. But I reflect often to that time because I made such a stink about being labeled that, whereas this day and age, I'm happy to be considered plus size. Some might call me mid-size, I mean, you know, whichever you want to say, but you know, that dealt with my confidence journey, right? My maturity, my, you know, growth, all of that ties into it. And you're accepting your sense of self, right? So to go back to the equity and body equity and, you know, how is Shapermint really helping with this? We keep talking about resources, right? Because we have identified that we all have different and unique circumstances, but we should all have equal access to resources to make us feel better, right? To make us feel confident. So Shapermint is partnering with the BodCon to give our community those resources to, you know, be immersed within this community, to be immersed within this subject matter by way of the BodCon app. So, you know, for International Women's Day, we are encouraging you to download the app, you know, check out some of the episodes, listen to the podcast episodes, and also, too, a lot of you guys that might have seen us at the BodCon 2023 virtual event that just happened on March 5th, you know, there will be replays in the app, right? So definitely be sure to download it. And then also let us know what you want to hear or what resources you need, right? Because again, equity means that we all have different circumstances. So, you know, we're promoting Shaping Essentials and you're like, yeah, your products are great, but what I need is someone to talk to, or what I need is, you know, great recommendations of places to go, you know, within my body. Let us know, because we want to be that resource for you. And, you know, we have big things in store for BodCon, big things in store for Shapermint. So, you know, I'm thanking you all in advance for, you know, being a part of the journey with us.
I cannot wait to just be scrolling more through the app. It's such a great space already. Yes. It's such a great space filled with, as you said, so many of those resources. And I love, I was able to produce a series on the app as well. Seriously, can't wait for you all to watch that. Gabrielle, you know, we talked earlier about our journeys and our stories. And in my series, I dive deep into that journey and how losing everything actually led to me
Mm,
building back my confidence, and how,
yeah.
great loss does not mean loss forever, and that we have, as
Mhm.
we've said many times on this podcast, we have the ability to take our confidence on a journey, and to sometimes trick our minds, and not believe the lies that we tell ourselves, but actually empower ourselves, and empower ourselves with an awesome community like BodCon, like Shapermint. I think it's just a beautiful, seamless partnership between BodCon and Shapermint, because Shapermint, as we said, essentials, shaping essentials, is something that sometimes people could look at and be like, is that body confident?
Yeah.
How
Hmm.
does that work? But we know from our conversations, and the conversations that we're having in spaces like this today and on the app, that it in fact is. It does. Do we want to dive into that at all?
Yeah, because, the conference just happened and we had some, topics that some people would think was spicy, right? So one of the spotlight chats is shapewear, body confidence. And, we have one person who believes it is, and we have one person who believes it isn't. And, we are okay with both points of view, right? Because again, we know that body confidence is more to do with a feeling versus what you're putting on your body, what you're wearing, makeup wise, hair, and all of that. But then we also had another spotlight chat where I was a panelist on, where we said, is plastic surgery body confident? Like, can you get plastic surgery and still be a body confidence advocate? And I received a breast reduction, and I am telling my followers yes, because for me, even though it was a very hard decision to make, I did it because I wanted to be able to run and not have pain on my shoulders or on my back. For some people who make alterations to their body, that's their choice, right? Because it's your body, right? And some people are like, oh no, they're getting this because, they're not confident. Okay, if you've acknowledged that this person's not confident, what can you do to help with that confidence? By you making that comment, do you think that's helping them? Probably not. So it's twofold. And I always stand with, do what you want to make you feel good.
If I think about this a lot, I want my outward appearance to reflect, I've said it many times on here already, like what's in here. And so if
Mhm.
my outward appearance means wearing shapewear, if that makes me feel my most comfortable, my most confident in how I physically show up, and that's how I'm feeling in here, then that's what I'm going to wear. As you said, if a breast reduction is allowing you to do the things you love to do, to run, to just feel good in your body, if that's representing that, great. You go, girl. Like I think about it a lot. We already said
Yeah.
too, like makeup, you know? Is it, can you be confident and wear makeup? I think
Yeah.
so. I think it reflects my most confident version of me, and maybe someone else doesn't think that, and that's okay. But on my
It's
confidence
okay.
journey, that is it.
Right. The choice is yours. And, the words equity and equality, they're very similar, but, the having the self-acceptance and being able to do as you please, and to me definitely reminds me of equality, and having equal rights, and being able to explore different things. And so, like I said, it's to each their own. And I just think, as social media becomes more prevalent, and as everybody becomes more opinionated, we just do need to be more gentle, more kind on how we interact with one another, because you never know what somebody is going through, what they're experiencing, and how something as simple as a compliment or something as simple as a disagreement can make or break their day.
We talked a lot in equity about resources, and how Shapermint and the BodCon are full of resources. The BodCon app now is full of
Yeah.
resources. Gabrielle, I'd love to know any specific resources that you personally look to boost your confidence, to build that body equity, whether it's in the past or present.
Sure. So, I had mentioned earlier, I believe it was probably a year and a half ago, I decided to take a course to become certified in becoming a body positive coach, because I said to myself, if I'm going to, essentially be an overseer of a brand, and a brand that is promoting, radical self-acceptance, I need to do the work. I can't just be self-proclaimed, And so I did take this course, and they had a lot of resources within here where the course actually was more of a reflection of yourself, which I thought was very, very interesting. And it had me do some, go back into my history and think about my grandma, what she experienced. And, my grandma's from the South, and, I don't know if you guys know about Southern ladies, but you definitely care about your parents and all of that. And I just remember a lot of the sayings and how I thought about my body came from some of the things my grandma would say. And, no knock to her, but she wanted us to always be prim, proper, look a certain way. Don't leave the house without your hair done. And just like certain things like that. And then I had to peel back the layer of my mom and then, kind of understand her upbringing of the different things that she encountered, the resources and lack of resources that she had to try to raise, confident young women, right? And so by the time I was done with that course, they made us write a letter to our grandma and to our mom. And I remember writing my letter, and I was very transparent and honest. And I read it to my mom because by then my grandma had passed. And, she started crying and was like, I had no idea some of the words that I had said to you would create this long lasting impact. Or I had no idea that you were experiencing or watching me do certain things. Like I would stare at my mom putting on her red lipstick while she was getting ready. And I just remember saying, ooh, like red lipstick is going to be my thing, right? Because I saw her, right? And so after that course, it made me analyze my past, good and bad, right? Because I said I definitely had a mean girl era that, I would admit to, and had to understand sometimes hurt people. That's number one. And number two, how can I continue to be a resource for others? And so that course was one that I used, and now I have been doing my due diligence and educating myself on a daily basis. What are the topics that people are talking about? How can I help, my friends, my girlfriends? How can I show up big as a wife? How can I show up big as, a bonus mom? How can I make sure my cat feels empowered? So it's just certain things that I'm doing to try to practice these new learnings daily. And I think, too, another resource that I had, I recently, read Virgie's book, and I just thought it was so empowering and inspiring. And, if you went to the conference, you would have access to the book. But it's just, I look to all of you, right? Like, what is Rachel saying and doing? And, oh, she showed up in that pink outfit, I definitely look at my peers, and I expect them to help continue my education and call me out, and vice versa.
I love that you gave such an array of resources. One, that letter, how powerful. I've done the write a letter to myself, my past self and my future self, but the idea of writing a letter to the women who have truly impacted you and how you see yourself, that is so powerful, and one that I know I might need to do, and so many other people listening might too. That is amazing. And I love too what you said about really the community piece of it, like looking to those around you to see what are they doing that is boosting their confidence or making them feel good, and how can I make that work for me? Because as we've said, to really round it out with body equity, like me wearing that pink outfit and you wearing that pink outfit are going to look different, feel different, be in different places, right? But can ultimately in some way bring us both the confidence, because like you said, you really just want to be Elle Woods, so wearing pink seems right.
Wednesday we wear pink, guys.
But yeah, I just love the idea of looking to the people around you who inspire you too. And that's why I love as well that you mentioned the BodCon app, and just what a great space. Sure, yeah, I love that I'm on there, but hey, I already know my story. I want to watch all the others on there and be so inspired and empowered and motivated by theirs. So thanks for those resources.
Yes. And, I know we're almost out of time, but that's the whole point of this app too, right? To literally create a safe space where everyone can learn, grow, educate, inspire, everything related to body confidence. And body confidence, it's not just about the body. Again, is we will have things about beauty, fashion, entertainment. We want to have a lot of like self-help advocates in there as well. So we do believe that this is going to be a space that is grown by the community, and again, a safe space for us all to come together.
Gabrielle, before I let you go, I'm going to ask you a question I ask everyone. I want to know, what does confidence mean and look like to you?
Confidence? Ooh, that is a loaded question, Rachel. What does it look like?
Yeah, everyone answers so differently, but yet so similarly. And as we are saying, we love looking to those people in our lives, that community, as a resource. And I think the answer from this is always definitely a resource for people too. So there's no wrong answer, whatever it means for you.
So I would have to say confidence looks like and means like what this room looks like right now. So I'm just painting a picture to you all that maybe is listening or watching on YouTube, right? This podcast is being produced by a woman, is being led by a woman. It has a lot of women hosts and, all different walks of life, but also for us all to be empowered, to have the confidence to show up and be able to speak about this subject matter, and then also have the authority to, be in the business, I think is confidence, right? We're definitely seeing a shift, right? Culturally, economically, where I do believe women and, people who identify as women, we're going to be leading the world soon. So this is confidence to me.
I love that. That's such a good answer. I actually read something the other day that said more single women now own their own property as opposed to single men, which I thought was not that we're running it as a competition, but to what you said, like seeing other women win and seeing women kind of reclaim spaces. We said reclaim words earlier. Now reclaim spaces to be like powerhouses in those spaces is amazing. So thank you so much for saying that, Gabrielle. I feel the same way. I get so pumped up every time we record one of these. Like I come on feeling good, but I leave feeling and that's my hope for everyone listening, whether you're listening or watching us. Like Gabrielle said, watch us on YouTube, subscribe to us there. You can see our smiling faces, and I talk with my hands, so you'll see that too. But I'm so glad that you could be on here today. We could celebrate International Women's Day in the best possible way. We could talk about body equity, body confidence, and just really keep those body confident conversations going.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rachel, and continue to be a strong advocate within this space, because we are watching you, girl.
Girl, same. Let's go. Let's go celebrate. Gabrielle, is there anything you want to shout out before you go? Obviously, you told us we need to be out there after the BodCon app. We know that we can shop our essentials at Shapermint. Anything else that you want to send our way?
Yes, be sure to, follow me on social, Gab Positive. And therefore, please feel free to send me a DM. I would love to chat with you. Follow us at Shapermint. It's SHAPERMINT. And then be sure to follow the BodCon. And it's at the Bod, BODCon, CON. And I'll be seeing you on the app.
Yes, we'll be seeing you on the app, Gabrielle. And if you are listening to this podcast on Apple or Spotify, we're so happy you're here. Be sure to give us a follow there. Also, like we said, give us a subscribe on YouTube at the BodCon. We are coming at you every week with confidence boosting conversations. So until next time, Gabrielle, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us today on the BodPod. We release new episodes every week, and we're available on all podcast streaming platforms and now YouTube too. Subscribe to our channels to be the first to know. Want to talk all things body confidence, enter amazing giveaways, and hear updates about the BodCon 2023? Find us on Instagram at the BodCon. My name's Rachel K. Grimm, and I'll see you next week.